A chance encounter in the dark. Was it destiny or merely a mistake? The evening felt stifling, the air thick with this promise of rain, as if the world held its breath for what was to come. Claire, 38, a widow for what felt like forever, sharp-tongued yet soft-curved, lingered in the shadows of our dim living room, my silk robe glimmering in the gentle light of a solitary lamp. The heat wrapped around me, a tight embrace that felt both intimate and stifling, turning every small movement into a struggle I couldn't escape. The window was slightly open, but the heavy silence inside remained unbroken, thick with unspoken desires. The air was heavy with the soft whisper of cicadas, interrupted only by the distant growl of thunder, hinting at a story that dared to unfold. The minutes dragged on, each tick of the clock resonating in the stillness. As I sat there, enveloped in a haze that felt like it had swallowed me whole, my thoughts wandered through a maze of longing and heartache. Enveloped in a haze that felt achingly familiar. 3 years had passed since my husband's death, and while the sharpness of my sorrow had dulled, a quiet longing remained, a secret companion that followed me through each day. Tonight, the ache throbbed with a new urgency, restless and alive, as if the tempest outside had stirred something deep and forbidden within my heart. I shifted on the couch, the silk of my robe brushing against my skin, and let out a slow, trembling breath. The soft light flickered, casting shadows that danced across the walls, turning the space into a secret world of muted gold. The glow wrapped around me, a soft caress, filled with unspoken longing. My fingers brushed the edge of my robe, tracing the soft fabric that whispered secrets of a love both thrilling and dangerous, yearning to be discovered. The gentle, soothing sound of water in the bathroom shattered the stillness, pulling me from the shadows of my mind. A heartbeat later, Lucas stepped into the living room, steam swirling around him, a towel hanging teasingly low on his hips. At 22, his dark, tousled hair framed a face that whispered of both innocence and the weight of unspoken desires. His slender figure still held the remnants of youth, but hints of a stronger, more assured self were beginning to surface, teasing the boundaries of what could be. The water glistened on his chest, illuminated by the gentle lamplight, and in that brief instant, I found myself entranced by how closely he mirrored his father. His broad shoulders held a weight that felt both heavy and alluring, moving with a grace that ensnared my heart. I swiftly averted my gaze, seeking solace in the window, where the outside world murmured secrets of longing and desire. Lucas stood before me, a haunting reminder of a love that danced on the edge of what was right and what was forbidden. A memory that flickered like a candle in the dark corners of my heart. We shared the same space, a delicate balance between us, our words cutting and practical, each syllable a cautious tread on fragile ground. He was so young, lost in the chaos of finding himself, while I lingered as a widow, wrestling with a reality that felt increasingly foreign with every moment. In an instant, the light disappeared, casting the room into darkness, where only whispers of shadows lingered, echoing the unspoken feelings that hung in the air. A distant rumble of thunder echoed in the house, a haunting reminder of the storm that loomed just beyond reach. I leaped up, but the ottoman's edge caught me off guard, propelling me into an unexpected stumble. My hands reached out, yearning for something to hold on to as everything spun wildly around me. My fingers glided over the smooth curves of Lucas's bare shoulders, his skin alive with warmth and a hint of moisture that sent shivers through me. His hands wrapped around my arms, a firm yet gentle hold that sent a shiver through me as I found my footing again. For a fleeting moment, we were frozen in time, the air thick with a tension that neither of us dared to name. In that brief instant, he adjusted the towel, a small moment that broke the silence as he turned, startled by the darkness, and I quickly looked away, embarrassed by the awkward moment. My fingers brushed against something firm and unyielding beneath him, a jolt of electricity igniting within me at the contact. The tension between us caused me to shiver. My breath caught in my throat, and warmth flooded my cheek. "I'm so sorry." Lucas's voice quivered, heavy with shame, as he fumbled to adjust the towel, the air thick with unspoken tension. In the soft, silvery light of the moon, our gazes met, igniting a spark that crackled in the quiet of the night. A silent bond lingered between them, thick with tension, whispering secrets that words dared not speak. I pulled back, my heart pounding in my chest. The fleeting touch lingered in my mind, a secret I could never forget. The rest of the evening blurred into a dream, each heartbeat a stolen glance, each breath a secret shared in the shadows. Lucas slipped away to his room, his voice a soft murmur, tinged with frustration as he searched for a flashlight, the weight of unspoken feelings hanging in the air. I lingered in the living room, my heart pounding with a storm of emotions. The storm outside threatened to break, but inside, a whirlwind of emotions swirled, tearing at the edges of my heart. Later, in the quiet of my room, a complicated rush of emotions stirred within me. I hugged my robe tighter, trying to quiet the storm within me, the silk brushing gently against my skin, like a memory I couldn't escape. My breath caught, a silent gasp escaping me. The thought of Lucas lingered, his strong silhouette and radiant skin igniting a fire within me that felt both thrilling and wrong. My thoughts wandered boldly, daring to feel what I shouldn't. That felt both thrilling and wrong, until a surge of conflicting emotions washed over me, leaving me breathless and lost in the darkness. The unsettling feeling wrapped around her heart, a persistent ache that went beyond simple sadness. The storm approached, but it was the tension in the air that made my heart race. A thrill laced with danger and longing. It was a presence that pulled at my heart. A dangerous allure that made me wonder if I had the courage or the will to resist its call. Not long after, still wrapped in that restless darkness, I found myself at the kitchen counter, a loose sundress clinging to my skin as I fought against the suffocating heat, my heart racing with unspoken desires. The air was thick with unspoken words, a tension that crackled like electricity. As the storm brewed outside, shrouding the house in a cloak of anxious longing, my thoughts wandered, captured by the lingering echo of that fleeting moment in the living room, the accidental brush of my fingers against Lucas's. In that fleeting instant, a whirlwind of emotions surged through me, leaving me restless in ways I dared not admit. I leaned against the cool counter, the marbles chill doing little to soothe the heat of desire igniting within me, the soft hum of the refrigerator wrapped around me, a soothing sound that contrasted sharply with the storm of emotions raging within my heart. The warmth of his skin still tingled on my fingertips, a bittersweet echo of the instant his towel slipped away, and the charged spark between us ignited beneath the soft, silvery light of the moon. The weight of its wrongness pressed down on my heart, yet the memory lingered, haunting and persistent. A splinter lodged deep within my thoughts that I couldn't escape. The soft brush of bare feet against the cool tiles pulled me from my daydream, a sudden reminder of the unspoken connection lingering in the air. I tilted my head just enough to steal a glance at Lucas as he strolled into the kitchen, shirtless, with only a pair of loose shorts hanging low on his hips. My breath caught for a moment, but I quickly turned away, pretending to focus on the glass of water I held tightly. As he swung open the fridge door, a rush of cool light spilled out, casting a glow that flickered over his skin, igniting a spark of something forbidden in the air between them. He reached for a bottle of water, his movements fluid and intentional, and I found myself unable to look away, my heart racing as I watched him from the corner of my eye. His every move was a silent invitation, a dangerous allure that pulled everyone in, leaving them breathless and yearning for more. As he turned, our eyes met, his gaze burning into me with a fierce intensity that set the air ablaze, raising the temperature in the room to an almost unbearable heat. I held my breath, my fingers clenching the glass as I struggled to ignore the intoxicating pull of his presence that filled the air around us. "Rest slips through your fingers," he murmured, his voice a low, sultry whisper, heavy with the lingering warmth of dreams. I shook my head, a smile fighting to escape my lips, the heat wrapped around them, a suffocating reminder of everything they couldn't have. I reached for a glass of water, the coolness tempting me like a secret longing I couldn't resist. He nodded, tilting the bottle back, his throat tightening as he swallowed the forbidden warmth, a rush of emotions flooding through him. Each swallow whispered of a longing that dared not speak its name. My eyes traced the graceful curve of his collarbone, entranced by the subtle rise and fall of his Adam's apple. Before I quickly looked away, the silence hung heavily between us, charged and intense, until the unspoken question pressed down on me, urging me to shatter the stillness that surrounded us. "You're, really something special," I whispered, my cheeks burning as the words tumbled from my lips. Lucas froze, the bottle hovering in his grasp, his eyes widening in disbelief. For a brief moment, I thought he would laugh it off or make a joke, but instead, he set the bottle down slowly and leaned against the counter, his gaze piercing into mine with a heat that made my heart race. "Do you feel a thrill in it?" I leaned in, my voice barely a whisper, tinged with doubt and longing. "Do girls have the courage to dream?" "It took a moment to get used to," he admitted, shifting just enough to feel the tension between them. "Girls often say it's too much to bear." The air between us crackled, thick with unvoiced feelings, as the refrigerator's soft hum broke the silence, wrapping us in a tension that felt both thrilling and dangerous. My fingers trembled at my sides, the memory of that brief touch flooding my mind with an aching intensity. As he passed me the bottle, our fingers brushed, sparking a jolt of electricity that made my heart race uncontrollably. I raised the glass to my lips, my hand shaking with anticipation as I tasted the forbidden sweetness. The cool water barely soothed the flames that danced within me. Igniting a longing for something forbidden, we hung in that electric stillness. The atmosphere, heavy, with everything we couldn't say. Every breath deepens the unspoken longing that binds us. With a heart full of unspoken words, Lucas turned away, slipping into the shadows of the hallway, his silhouette swallowed by the deepening gloom. I stood at the counter, heart racing, caught in a whirlwind of longing that pulled me closer, even as I knew I shouldn't. The storm outside threatened to break, but inside, my heart was already in turmoil, caught in a whirlwind of emotions that felt both exhilarating and forbidden. The blackout stretched into its second night, the house swallowed by a darkness that felt alive, wrapping around them like a secret longing. The air was thick with tension, each heartbeat echoing the unspoken desire that lingered between them, a longing that felt both intoxicating and wrong, as if the universe itself was waiting for a moment that could never be. The day stretched endlessly, a heavy fog of longing surrounding me, my thoughts spiraling back to the bittersweet memories of last night. Lucas's husky, intimate voice enveloped me as he confessed. Girls often say it's overwhelming. The memory lingered like a whisper, a dangerous mix of longing and regret that wrapped around my heart, holding on tightly, no matter how hard I tried to break free. As I wandered through the dimly lit halls of the house, a single lantern flickered, its light creating haunting silhouettes that swayed against the walls, whispering secrets of a love that felt both thrilling and wrong. The deepening shadows provided my soul solace. The air was thick with the scent of rain, a heavy stillness wrapping around them, as if the world paused, waiting for something forbidden to unfold. Yet, the downpour lingered just out of reach, a forbidden promise glimmering on the horizon, stirring emotions with its imminent embrace. As I approached the garage, my footsteps echoed in the darkness, revealing Lucas's magnetic presence as he skillfully operated the ancient radio. His fingers moved with a grace that made my heart race, breathing life into something long abandoned. A moment suspended in time. Just for us, the air was thick and stifling, wrapping around them like a secret, while the gentle, unyielding glow of the lantern heightened the charged atmosphere between them. I leaned against the cold workbench, the metal biting into my skin, my shorts riding up as I crossed my legs, a mix of unease and electric tension hanging between us. My eyes were drawn to him, entranced by the way his body moved, the way his dark hair fell into his eyes as he worked, a forbidden allure that sent shivers down my spine. His presence was intoxicating, a dangerous temptation that drew me in, even as my heart raced with the fear of what I was risking. As I began, my voice was soft, laced with a hint of daring allure. What about your dimensions? A longing tugs at my heart, an unspoken desire that won't let go. What does it really feel like to be drawn to someone you shouldn't? Lucas halted, his fingers lingering on the radio, as he turned to meet my gaze, an electric tension swirling in the space that separated us. His eyes captured mine, intense and mysterious, and in that brief instant, I sensed the power of his stare, as if he could hush me, as if he held the authority to make me stop. His eyes locked onto mine, breath hitching, heart racing in a rhythm that echoed my own. The air crackled with an intense energy, sending shivers down my spine and quickening my heart in a way that felt both thrilling and dangerous. I moved closer, every step deliberate, my gaze fixed on his, a spark of something unspoken igniting between us. It's dark, I whispered, my voice barely a breath, trembling as it broke the heavy silence. The lights have faded, leaving only the whispers of our hearts in the dark. In the shadows, I find myself lost, unable to see the light of what could be. He hesitated, his jaw tight, and for a heartbeat, I worried he might turn away. In a heartbeat that felt like an eternity, he offered a subtle, almost imperceptible nod. My heart raced, each thump resonating in my ears as I moved closer. The air between us charged with an unspoken longing. My hand trembled with longing as I reached out, my fingers brushing against the fabric, sparking a whirlwind of feelings deep inside. His presence was overwhelming, even through the layers that separated us, and his touch ignited a jolt of longing within me. I tentatively moved my fingers across the surface, each caress revealing a hidden longing. He towered over me, radiating a warmth that left me speechless for a moment. My fingers grew bolder, pressing against him with an urgency that sent shivers through the air. I felt the tension in his body, the way his breath hitched, a silent acknowledgement of the unspoken connection between us. Lucas's hands gripped the edge of the workbench, knuckles white and trembling with unspoken longing. As I explored further, my hand instinctively reached out, brushing against him as a surge of emotion overtook me, his breath hitching in sharp gasps, each rise and fall of his chest mirroring the frantic rhythm of my heart. "Claire," he breathed, his voice trembling with a mix of desperation and longing, a silent plea that hung in the air between them. Yet, I pushed forward, my heart racing with a mix of longing and defiance. My hand moved autonomously. My hand lingered. Caught in a moment of emotional intensity, neither of us could escape. He let out a breath, heavy with everything we dared not say, that stirred deep within him. And then, with a sudden, sharp intake of breath, he surrendered to the moment, lost in the thrill of what should never be. We stood still, hearts racing, an electric tension wrapping around us. The air heavy with unspoken truths. The only sounds that broke the silence were the gentle flicker of the lantern and the shaky breaths we shared, each inhale heavy with unspoken longing. My heart raced, each beat a reminder of the weight of my choices. The longing that consumed me, wrapping me in a tight, unyielding embrace. Lucas's eyes held mine, a tempest of unspoken feelings brewing beneath the surface. In that fleeting moment, everything else vanished, and all that remained was the heavy hush that wrapped us in its secret embrace. The air between us shimmered with an undeniable spark, each heartbeat amplifying the tension. Poised on the edge of something dangerously beautiful. I stepped back, my hand trembling as I pulled away, and Lucas exhaled sharply, his shoulders drooping, as he leaned against the workbench. The air crackled with unvoiced emotions, a heavy silence hanging between us, palpable and unbreakable. The lantern's glow flickered, casting haunting shadows that whispered secrets in the stillness of the room. I averted my gaze, a storm of desire and regret swirling within me. Every thought collided fiercely, like waves battling in a tempest. The storm outside whispered secrets of chaos, its rage simmering just beneath the surface, yearning to break free. Yet deep inside, a haunting crack had already begun to spread. The following evening, the heavy sky hung low, its presence almost suffocating, filled with the sweet, aching promise of rain that danced just out of reach. The blackout lingered, wrapping the house in a heavy darkness that seemed to whisper secrets of longing and unspoken desires. Yet, the back porch called to us like a delicate refuge, where the gentle serenade of crickets offered a calming contrast to the charged atmosphere swirling between Lucas and me. We sat on the worn wooden steps, a bottle of warm wine between us, its scant contents unable to soothe the intense spark that crackled in the air. The wine lingered on my tongue, a bittersweet reminder of the tension that coiled within me, growing stronger with every heartbeat. My thoughts drifted back to the garage, to the way Lucas had tensed beneath my touch, the way he whispered my name, like it was the only thing that mattered. The memory lingered, a haunting mix of desire and remorse that held me captive. Refusing to let go, Lucas moved closer, his knee brushing against mine, igniting a rush of warmth that sent shivers down my spine. His presence wrapped around me, like a forbidden secret, intoxicating and overwhelming, erasing all sense of logic and clarity. My breath hitched, but I stayed frozen, the warmth of his skin blending with mine in a moment that felt both electric and wrong. He turned to me, his dark eyes searching my soul, and for a fleeting moment, the world around us faded away. The silence wrapped around them, heavy with unspoken feelings, until his voice broke through, igniting a spark between them. He whispered something I couldn't quite process, his voice low and unsure, like he wasn't even speaking to me, but to the silence that sent a thrill racing through me, igniting a fire I knew we shouldn't be playing with. With a fluttering heart, I felt each pulse resonate within me, my fingers trembling with a mix of longing and fear as I reached out. For a fleeting moment, I hesitated, the weight of my decision heavy in the air. But then my fingers danced over the fabric, tracing its curves with a longing that felt both thrilling and wrong. He stood there, tension crackling in the air, and I felt him respond to my touch, a thrill that both excited and terrified me. "Claire," he whispered, his voice trembling with urgency, a bittersweet warning tugging at my heart. But I couldn't stop myself. My hand moved as if guided by a hidden force, fingers entwining with him as he released a soft, yearning groan. His breath hitched, and as his hand reached for me, the first touch was tentative. But soon he grew bolder. His touch, though brief, carried an emotional weight I couldn't ignore. His touch started as a gentle caress, a soft exploration that sent shivers down her spine. But it quickly deepened, igniting a fire between them, as if the world around them faded away, leaving only the electric tension of their hidden longing. His fingers, his presence stirred something deep within me, intense and confusing within me, that left me breathless, each caress sending a thrilling surge of electricity through my body. "Your trouble," I whispered, my voice quivering with longing. The words nearly swallowed by the melody of Cricket's serenade. He flashed a grin, his eyes swirling with a longing that echoed my own. "Only if you let me," he murmured, his voice a rough whisper that ignited a thrill deep within her. His hand rose, fingers brushing against my skin, and I felt the last thread of restraint slip away, the wine and darkness pulling us into a dangerous void, a moment we could never take back. Suddenly, his free hand reached the back of my neck, a steady yet tender grip that sent chills down my spine. With a gentle yet urgent touch, he guided my head down, every motion filled with unspoken desire and a hint of danger. My breath caught, and my heart pounded fiercely as the reality of his desires washed over me. "Lucas," I murmured, my voice barely a breath, the name hanging in the air like a delicate secret, heavy and intoxicating. As if I had crossed an unspoken line I never meant to tread. He stayed quiet, but his hand rested gently near my neck, grounding me in the moment, sending a message that was both commanding and filled with longing. My lips parted instinctively, a warm breath slipping out, grazing his skin. The storm outside threatened to break, but inside me, a whirlwind of emotions surged, tightening with every heartbeat. The last threads of restraint slipped away as the wine and dim light beckoned us toward a dangerous edge, a moment I knew I couldn't turn back from. Later, as we nestled in the shadows, the storm approached, its dark presence a haunting reminder of the chaos that surrounded us. The weight pressed heavily on my chest, the gravity of what we were about to do, wrapping around me like a tight embrace, both thrilling and terrifying. The line that once kept us apart had crumbled, and now I was lost, unsure if there was any way back to what we once knew. The storm howled outside, but the real chaos swirled inside me. Inside us, and there was no escape. The evening melted into a heavy, sultry night, the air thick with humidity that clung to your skin, each breath a tantalizing struggle. The storm loomed, a dark promise in the distance, its thunderous whispers echoing a tension that hung heavy in the air, teasing, yet restrained. The house stood shrouded in darkness, its stillness pierced by the gentle flicker of a lantern, illuminating the corner of the upstairs hall with a haunting light. I pressed my back against the wall, the fabric of my tank top clinging uncomfortably as a whirlwind of emotions swirled inside me. He invaded my every thought, an irresistible force that lingered in the shadows of my heart. Lucas stood at the edge of everything, the wind swirling fiercely, echoing the unspoken desires that lingered just out of reach. Her heart raced, each beat a whisper of the uncharted passion that beckoned from the shadows. My stepson, a presence intertwined with my existence, holds within him the burden of untold tales and concealed emotions. The word lingered, foreign and far away, a mere shadow of the electric tension crackling between us. The garage was etched in my memory, a scene thick with unspoken desire, as he stiffened under my fingers, his breath catching as he breathed my name, each sound a ghostly whisper in the quiet. A haunting presence wrapped around me, a dangerous mix of longing and remorse that held my heart captive. Unwilling to release its grip, the bathroom door creaked open, the sound cutting through my thoughts, a reminder of the tension that hung in the air. My heart raced as Lucas stepped into the hall. He stepped into the room, fresh from the shower, the steam still clinging to him. Water droplets clung to his chest, shimmering in the lantern's glow, each shift a tantalizing dance of light and shadow that pulled her closer, igniting a longing that felt both thrilling and wrong. His dark hair fell into his eyes, a magnetic force that made rational thought slip away like sand through fingers. He froze, his gaze locking onto mine. A charged silence enveloping us, so thick with unspoken desires. In that brief instant, we were paralyzed, the air thick with a charged intensity that ensnared us both. His gaze was intense and searching, as if he could see right into my heart, breaking down the walls I had built, unraveling the excuses I held onto. "Tell me to stop," he murmured, his voice a husky whisper, filled with longing and a hint of danger, as if every word was a fragile thread holding back the storm within him. I couldn't. In that fleeting moment, I found myself reaching for him, my fingers tangling in his damp hair as I pulled him closer. Our eyes locked, a silence deeper than words hanging between us that felt both exhilarating and wrong. The intensity of our closeness blurred the noise of the world, as if time itself hesitated into silence. He stepped closer, the space between us charged with tension, warmth spreading from his touch, sending a thrilling jolt through me that felt both exhilarating and dangerously intoxicating. My fingers sank into his shoulders, nails brushing his skin. A wordless cry for more as I held on tightly, lost in longing. I tried to tell myself it was wrong, that it could never be, that we shouldn't even be here. But in that brief moment, all those doubts vanished, leaving only the undeniable spark between us. Nothing else mattered. He sparked something deep inside me, a longing that felt both exhilarating and dangerous, making me crave his presence like a forbidden secret. The towel fell from my fingers, forgotten, as his hands gripped my waist. He drew closer, and for a moment, the air between us sparked with unresolved tension. His touch sparked a flame inside me, fingers gliding over my skin with a desperate urgency that stole my breath, leaving my knees weak. My fingers traced the chiseled lines of his form, fueled by a longing that crashed over me like an unstoppable tide. "Lucas," I whispered, his name slipping from my lips like a secret yearning to be heard. He responded with a deep growl, his lips colliding with mine again, igniting a whirlwind of emotions that left me breathless. There was a weight between us, a moment charged with emotions we dared not speak in the heavy, charged air, creating a whirlwind of passion. Our breathless whispers hung in the air, a fragile intimacy breaking down the walls that had kept us apart. The barrier between them, once so rigid and unbreakable, now felt achingly fragile. Lucas's lips left mine, trailing down my neck with a passion that sent a shiver coursing through me. His hands roamed my body with a desperate intensity, as if he needed to etch every curve into his soul. My hands shook as I held onto him, gripping his shoulders and his back, desperate for something to anchor me amidst the swirling storm of emotions surrounding us. "Claire!" My heart races at the mere whisper of your name. He groaned, his voice thick with longing, and the way he whispered my name set ablaze the hidden fire that burned between us. My thoughts faded away, breath hitching in my throat, as the warmth of our bodies mingled, silencing everything but the pull of him. His hands wandered, each touch lighting a flame inside me, sending shivers of electricity through my body. My fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer as our kisses intensified. Driven by an overwhelming sense of longing and need. The chill of the wall barely registered against the heat coursing through me, overshadowed by the magnetic pull of Lucas and the thrilling sparks he ignited deep inside. His fingers brushed against my skin, teasingly lifting the fabric that separated us. I gave in to the moment. the cool air brushing against my skin, a fleeting, refreshing touch before his warmth wrapped around me again. Our touches ignited a fire, the yearning between us too intense to ignore. His hands glided over my skin, sparking flames with every touch, while my fingers explored the curves of his body, leaving a mark on my soul. The air crackled with an electric tension, drawing our bodies together in a desperate dance, engulfed in the intense heat of the moment, each breath feeling like a stolen secret. His hands moved with a passion that set my heart racing, tracing the contours of my body with a tenderness that left me breathless and vulnerable. The heat of his body against mine sparked something deep inside, his breath hitching in a soft gasp as my fingers grazed his skin. In that moment, everything else disappeared, leaving just the two of us, wrapped in the warm glow of flickering candlelight that cast shadows swirling around us in an enchanting embrace. The air was thick with the intoxicating scent of rain and a whisper of sweat, and every touch, every brief caress, sent a shiver of excitement racing through me. His lips found mine, the kiss electric and consuming, and I gave in completely to him as the weight of all we had held back crashed over us like an unstoppable wave. As he finally shifted, each movement was slow and deliberate, a rhythm that left me breathless, caught in a moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. My fingers tangled in his hair, holding on desperately as I surrendered to the moment, losing myself completely in him. The intensity enveloped me, each touch and movement pulling me into a world I dared not explore, something I couldn't fully grasp. The storm raged outside, but inside, we were caught in a tempest of feelings, each heartbeat echoing the thrill of our secret, leaving us breathless and trembling. Later, as we lay entwined in the shadows, the weight of our choices hung heavily in the air. The line that once kept us apart had crumbled, and now I found myself questioning if turning back was still possible. The storm outside was fierce, but the real chaos swirled inside us, binding us together in a way that felt both thrilling and wrong. There was no escaping it now. A storm brewed inside me, a tumult of guilt and longing, each fighting for control as I faced the consequences of what had happened. Yet beneath the chaos, a hidden truth yearned to be embraced. In that fleeting instant, everything felt forbidden, a thrilling dance with danger, and there was no way to retreat from the intoxicating pull between us. The storm outside might pass, but the chaos igniting between us was only beginning to awaken. As the night deepened, the darkness wrapped around them, turning the house into a suffocating embrace of heat and secrets. The air wrapped around me, thick and suffocating, amplifying the wild longing that pulsed through my veins. I sank into the living room couch, a solitary candle flickering on the coffee table, its dim light casting soft, wavering shadows that whispered secrets across the walls. My hands trembled with longing, my thoughts a tempest as I stood in the hush, caught between desire and the unspoken. As he entered the room, a hush fell, his presence igniting a tension that crackled in the air. His presence enveloped me, a silent promise hanging in the air. A rush of excitement ignited within me, sending a delicious shiver down my spine. He paused, his deep gaze capturing mine, an undeniable spark igniting between us. In that brief instant, we were paralyzed, the atmosphere heavy with a silence that buzzed with unspoken longing. He stepped closer, the tension in the air palpable as he met my gaze, slowly drawing me into a world that felt both thrilling and wrong. His touch sparked a flame deep inside me, a longing I knew I shouldn't feel. My breath caught as his gaze wrapped around me, igniting a fire I knew I shouldn't feel. He lifted his gaze, his eyes searching mine, and I nodded, my voice barely a whisper, tender yet charged with unspoken longing. Without hesitation, his heart pounded as he grasped the word that hovered between them, a delicate whisper of possibility. His lips brushed against mine, igniting a spark that felt both thrilling and dangerously slow. The heat of his skin sent shivers through me, a desperate longing awakening as my body instinctively sought his embrace. My fingers tangled in his hair, drawing him closer as he surrendered to me with a passion that left me gasping. My heart raced, every tick of the clock pulling me closer to the edge of something I knew I shouldn't want. The air was thick, wrapping around us like a secret, his fingers igniting a fire within me that I knew I shouldn't feel. My heart raced, caught between longing and the thrill of the forbidden. My body burned with a desperate longing, every nerve alive with the thrill of his touch as he lifted me to dizzying peaks. A fleeting moment of uncertainty brushed against my thoughts, a soft murmur of doubt that almost took root. Yet it dissipated just as swiftly, carried away by the intoxicating wave of desire that consumed me. My fingers tangled in his hair, the world blurring, as I teetered on the brink of something forbidden and intoxicating. Was there not a deep, aching sense of something forbidden that shadowed every moment? The sensation we experienced was akin to a concealed blaze, exhilarating yet dangerous. It sharpened the thrill, wrapping me in a dangerous bliss that felt both intoxicating and wrong. It was a reckless leap, a choice that whispered of danger, lingering in the darkness like a secret longing. In that brief moment, everything else faded away. Hold on for everything. He was my secret, the ache in my heart that consumed me. A longing so deep it overshadowed everything around me. The intensity of the moment overwhelmed me, leaving me breathless, breaking the stillness of the room, my body trembling with the intensity of what we had shared. He pushed forward, unyielding and intense, leaving me breathless, my body weak and pliant in his wake. He pulled away slowly, his eyes filled with unspoken longing. In that fleeting moment, silence wrapped around us, pierced only by the uneven rhythm of my breath and the gentle flicker of the candle's flame. The weight of our choices hung heavy, a bittersweet mix of guilt and desire that wrapped around my heart, impossible to shake off. The boundary that once held us apart has crumbled, swept away by the undeniable pull of our connection. His fingers brushed against my cheek, sending shivers through me as I leaned into his warmth, my heart racing with the thrill of what we dared to feel. His fingers traced my neck, a touch that felt both tender and dangerously electric. Once more, I felt the tension between us tightening, an undeniable force that crackled in the air. The heavy stillness of the blackout wrapped around the house, a suffocating silence that pulsed with unspoken tension. The air was heavy, stifling, and laden with the burden of unspoken desires. A solitary candle flickered on the kitchen counter, its dim light casting shadows that swayed gently, hinting at secrets held close and desires unspoken. I sat at the table, a half-empty glass of wine trembling in my grasp, the warmth barely soothing, the wild emotions swirling inside me. As he entered the kitchen, an electric tension enveloped them, his very presence igniting a silent, undeniable connection. The undeniable pull enveloped me, and I couldn't bring myself to look up. My heart raced at the familiar sight, a mix of longing and fear flooding my veins. I had always known it was him. The way my body reacted, a delicious thrill of longing sweeping over me, was everything I needed. With a bottle of wine clutched in one hand, he ran his fingers through his damp hair, leaning against the counter, the burden of unspoken desires heavy in the air around him. The flickering candlelight danced around him, casting shadows that highlighted his chiseled features and the sheen of sweat that betrayed the tension in the air. His shirt clung to him, revealing the sculpted lines of his chest, igniting a spark of longing that felt both thrilling and wrong. I fought the urge to gaze any longer, my fingers clenching in the glass as a wave of warmth surged within me. We sat in silence, the air charged with an unspoken longing that enveloped us, intensifying with every heartbeat. The wine wrapped around us, its bitterness a mere shadow against the heat of his stare, binding me to him in that fleeting instant. "You're so quiet," he murmured, breaking the heavy silence that enveloped them. I shrugged, my voice a whisper, barely piercing the heavy silence that surrounded us. Lost in a world of unspoken feelings, he leaned in, his elbows resting on the table, his eyes piercing into mine, igniting a thrill that coursed through me. What does it mean? In that fleeting moment, my heart raced with a tumultuous mix of desire and regret, each emotion tugging me toward a path I knew I shouldn't tread. Here, our tale begins. Once upon a time, his gaze held mine, a silent promise wrapped in mystery. What comes after this moment? I raised the glass to my lips, the deep liquid swirling within, its warmth wrapping around me like a brief, stolen moment. Yet it couldn't calm the tempest of longing that raged inside. It is forbidden, yet so achingly real. His laughter was a low, rich melody that filled the quiet space between us, igniting a forbidden thrill that danced along my skin. Complicated is only the first chapter of their secret. As I looked up at him, his dark eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and a depth that made my heart race, leaving me utterly captivated. "We can stop," he murmured, his voice heavy with unspoken longing. Could you imagine the implications? I shook my head, swept away by a longing that reason couldn't tame. The thought of stopping sends shivers down my spine. His gaze, so warm, pulls me in as he leans closer, our fingers brushing in a moment that feels both thrilling and wrong. The touch was electric, a jolt that coursed through me, sending shivers of longing as the air thickened with unspoken desire. "Good," he murmured, his voice heavy with longing. He rose slowly, each movement deliberate, and my heart raced with a mix of excitement and longing. In a heartbeat, he snatched the glass from my hand, sending it crashing away as he pulled me up, our eyes locking in a moment that felt both thrilling and wrong. His hands ignited a fire on my skin, a mix of gentle care and fierce longing, as he led me gently by the hand, our eyes locked in silence. He whispered, his breath sending shivers down my spine, dangerously close, yet impossibly tempting. I nodded, speechless, as he drew closer, his lips brushing against mine in a kiss that was both gentle and filled with an intoxicating longing. His presence lingered close, and for a moment, I felt the intensity of something neither of us dared name. The air was electric, every heartbeat echoing in the silence as the space between us pulsed with unspoken desire. A tempest waiting to break free. My fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer as the kiss deepened, our bodies merging in a way that consumed my every thought. Finally, he lifted me off the ground, and for a moment, the world faded away. The chill of the table felt like a stark reminder of the fire within me. His presence stirred something unresolved within me. Hand lingered on my back. A pause thick with meaning, exploring with a longing that made my heart race and sent shivers down my spine. The core of what we did felt so wrong, a thrilling rush that coursed through me, heightening every moment and wrapping my heart in a dangerous pleasure. It was a reckless leap, a decision wrapped in danger. Yet, in that brief moment, I felt utterly alive. This was my longing. Her heart ached for him, a desire so deep it overshadowed everything around her. Later, in the dim kitchen light, I felt the weight of what we had done as we lay wrapped in each other's warmth. The boundary that kept us apart, once so strong, had crumbled, broken by the undeniable force of what we shared. The storm raged outside, but inside, we were caught in a tempest of our making, breathless and trembling in the shadows of our secret. Every moment we shared felt like a stolen treasure, igniting a passion that was both thrilling and dangerous. I was caught in a whirlwind, unable to escape the intoxicating pull of what we had. The storm howled in the distance, yet the real tempest brewed within our hearts. Deep inside, a powerful connection ignited between us, and there was no turning back. As dawn broke, a rush of energy filled the air, stirring the house from its slumber with a soft, electric pulse, lights flickering to life like whispered secrets shared in the quiet morning. Standing at the kitchen sink, my robe wrapped tightly around me, I stared out at the rain-soaked yard, each droplet a soft murmur of hidden desires. The storm had raged through the night, leaving behind a breathtaking yet haunting beauty in its wake. The ground shimmered under the gentle glow, and the air felt electric, as if everything around them had been washed anew, holding secrets just out of reach. Yet within me, the weight of our secret lingered, an intimate shroud that I couldn't cast aside. The house throbbed with an intoxicating energy, its walls drawing closer, enveloping them in a tender yet stifling embrace, crafting a space that felt both comforting and dangerously confining. The storm howled, dismantling the walls I had built, exposing my heart in its rawest form. The ghost of his touch lingered on my skin, his breath a warm whisper against my neck, igniting a fire I knew I shouldn't feel. That memory surged within me, sending a shiver down my spine. A thrill that had nothing to do with the morning's cold embrace. The sound enveloped me, a gentle whisper of bare feet gliding over the hardwood, followed by the soft creak of the door, announcing his presence in the stillness of the night. Lucas entered the kitchen, his hair a messy halo from sleep, his dark eyes darting away from mine the instant they met. His every movement crackled with an unspoken longing, each step heavy with the weight of our uncharted feelings. In that fleeting moment, silence wrapped around us, heavy and electric. The coffee maker sputtered to life behind me, its rich, bitter aroma wrapping around us like a secret, yet neither of us dared to reach for a cup, caught in the tension of unspoken words and stolen glances. I stood there, fingers gripping the cold edge of the sink, my heart racing with unvoiced desires and the weight of what could never be. The silence wrapped around us, thick and suffocating, charged with unvoiced feelings until he broke it with a whisper that felt like a spark in the dark. In the shadows of his heart, he whispered, his voice rough and fragile, as if it might shatter at any moment. I nodded, my gaze fixed on the shadows that danced behind me, a shiver coursing through me as I felt him near, his hand brushing softly against my arm. Their fingers lingered, a soft whisper against my skin, igniting a fire that sent shivers down my spine. I turned to face him, my heart pounding in my chest, and in that electric stillness, everything else vanished. The air was thick with unspoken words, the echoes of last night lingering between us, a tempest brewing, poised to break free at any moment. His eyes captured mine, dark and mysterious, stirring a forbidden longing that made me want to look away, to hide in the safety of silence. But I held back. Our eyes met, and my heart raced as he stepped closer, his hand gently brushing against my arm. We can't pretend that didn't happen. Finally, I breathed, my voice barely a murmur but filled with determination. He nodded, his eyes capturing mine. And in that fleeting moment, the intensity of his gaze left me breathless. I can't wear a mask, he whispered, his voice trembling with unspoken longing. His words hung between us, heavy with unvoiced longing, and for a fleeting moment, I was utterly speechless, caught in the thrill of the unsaid. The coffee maker beeped, its sharp sound cutting through the thick silence that enveloped us. But neither of us moved, caught in a moment that felt both electric and forbidden. Time stood still, a delicate pause, as we found ourselves wrapped in a secret world, untouched by the turmoil beyond. He stepped closer, his hand finding mine, fingers intertwining in a grip that felt both powerful and tender, his warmth enveloping me, grounding me in this fleeting moment. For a brief moment, the weight of our shared history and the silence that lingered between us felt lighter, if just for a heartbeat. We kept it a secret, a mystery filled with longing, passion, and a hint of what could never be. It was unnecessary, yet it lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken desires. The silent bond we shared throbbed with a hidden passion, a fragile link of understanding that held us together in the quiet, crafting a tapestry of stolen moments filled with unexpressed feelings. My fingers intertwined with his, and he tightened his grip, his thumb brushing over my knuckles in a way that sent shivers down my spine, a mix of comfort and an undeniable spark of danger. What happens next? Heart racing and breath twitching. I summoned the courage to speak, my voice a fragile whisper, barely escaping my lips. He paused, his gaze entwined with mine, and for a heartbeat, I dreaded he might slip away into the darkness. Instead, he leaned in closer, our foreheads touching, his breath a soft, tantalizing whisper against my skin. I don't know, he confessed, his voice trembling with unspoken feelings. But the idea of losing you is unbearable. His words hit me like a sudden gust, leaving a lingering ache in my heart. My heart ached to tell him he wouldn't face this hardship alone, that we would weather the tempest together. But the words were trapped, silent in the shadows of my longing. He leaned back slightly, his eyes locking onto mine, his hand tenderly cradling my cheek, his thumb brushing gently against my skin. I need you, he whispered, his voice quaking with unguarded longing. As I closed my eyes, yielding to his touch, the turmoil of the world slipped away, leaving only us in our secret moment. It was only him and us, connected by a fragile thread that wove our destinies together. As I slowly opened my eyes, he lingered, his intense gaze locked onto mine, sparking an undeniable, secret longing deep within me. It was strong enough to break the silence that surrounded them, whether it was longing or uncertainty. Oh, just understand, I murmured, maintaining a steady voice despite the brewing storm within my heart. He nodded, his hand slipping from mine as he stepped back. But the warmth of his touch lingered, a silent promise or a question that hung between us, heavy and unspoken. The question hovered in the air, laden with unsaid emotions. The coffee sat there, untouched, steam curling in fragile wisps, as we both hesitated, caught in a moment too charged to break. Instead, we stood still, the weight of our unspoken feelings enveloping us like a heavy mist, leaving us breathless and yearning. The future stretched out, a tantalizing mystery, a blank page longing for the touch of our secrets. The weight of our past clung to us, while the allure of what we might still be whispered sweetly in the shadows, a temptation we couldn't quite escape. As the morning sunlight spilled into the room, wrapping everything in a tender glow, I felt the stirrings of something forbidden yet beautiful. It surpassed the boundaries of right and wrong, transforming into a powerful pull that ensnared my heart, a shadow that filled me with a fear deeper than anything I had ever faced. I should go, he murmured, his voice trembling with a mix of longing and doubt. I nodded, my voice caught in my throat. Watching him turn away, his silhouette slowly disappearing as he left the kitchen. His footsteps echoed in the empty hallway, and the silence wrapped around me, thick with the pain of longing for what we could never have. As I stood there, observing the yard drenched in rain, a sudden realization struck me with the force of lightning. The storm had calmed, but the real turmoil was just beginning to stir inside us, and there was no escaping it now. That first mistake shifted everything, turning my desires into a weighty secret, our fate unwritten, yet heavy with the truth of what we could never fully embrace. An electric tension enveloped us as the house pulsed with life, and I couldn't escape the one undeniable truth that gripped my heart. The moment was just the beginning of something we shouldn't have. A fragile spark of something beautiful was awakening. The hours that followed blurred into a haze, each moment weaving into the next in a dizzying, intoxicating swirl of longing and doubt. I wandered through the house, my heart a tempest of feelings that slipped through my fingers. A tempest of emotions. Guilt and desire clashed within her, leaving her breathless, each vying for dominance in a world where they should never meet. Yet, beneath the surface, a quiet longing stirred, an elusive whisper of something that felt like hope, though I dared not name it just yet. The living room wrapped around me, a bittersweet echo of our beginnings. The storm had carved its mark deep into the heart of the land. The soft scent of rain lingered, intertwining with a coolness that sent shivers down the spine, awakening something deep within. I sank into the couch, my fingers brushing the edge of the cushion where we had shared our final moments. The warmth of his touch lingering in my memory like a bittersweet whisper. The burden pressed heavily on my heart, the gravity of our choices entwining around me like a tight embrace. Yet retreat was no longer an option. They had crossed the line, broken the boundary, and the burden of what had happened would forever linger in their hearts. The sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway, sending a shiver down my spine. He hovered in the doorway, an enigma, shrouded in shadows. And for a brief moment, the world around us dissolved into a breathless silence. I couldn't bring myself to go through with it. His words cut through the silence, sending a thrill coursing through me, while the weight of his gaze wrapped around me, thick and undeniable, like a secret we both dared not acknowledge. He stepped into the room, each movement deliberate, before sitting next to me, his closeness wrapping around me like a secret embrace, igniting a warmth that felt both comforting and dangerously thrilling. The air crackled with unvoiced feelings, the silence enveloping us like a beloved secret, comforting and dangerously close. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining in a grip that felt both determined and tender. In that brief instant, the weight of our shared past and the silence of our unsaid feelings felt lighter, if just for a heartbeat. The future stretched out, a tantalizing mystery, a blank page longing for our secret touch. Still, the weight of our past loomed over us, mingling with the sweet ache of what we might still become. A burden we couldn't escape. As the sunlight poured into the room, casting a warm, golden glow, I felt the stirrings of something deep and forbidden. A connection that both thrilled and terrified me. It soared beyond the boundaries of guilt and longing. It was an undeniable pull, a haunting reality that wrapped around my heart, more intense than any fear I had ever faced. As I sat there, his hand intertwined with mine, a forbidden truth began to stir within me. This wasn't the end. A new chapter, filled with unspoken desires, was quietly unfolding.